Alright all, welcome to what will be the last episode of my Let's Learn series. When we last left off, my character, Davian Let's Learn, had managed to make it all the way up to the final boss fight, where we confront the two sorcerers, with the help of Aaron the Sun Paladin. Alright, so first things first, let's just sort of like tell about the layout before we actually tell about the bosses themselves. We're basically in an arena here. It's the High Peak Sanctum. What's happening here is that we have this in the middle right here, this fire portal to the void. The fire portal to the void is basically where these two sorcerers are trying to bring back this old god that they were basically talking about in the last little lore bit from the very last bit of the last episode. What's happening is that these two are trying to use this fire portal here to bring back the god, and we basically have to sort of stop them from doing so. Luckily for us, we actually already sort of stopped them already with the Charred Scar. When we stopped him from, going to the Charred Scar and powering up the staff that he's basically holding up in his hand right there, that resulted in basically them being unable to basically charge up the fire portal needed enough to basically get the needed power to get the guy out of there, the god. But they're still around and we still have to deal with them, so that sort of has to be done. Now, besides this portal, there's also these like invocation portals over here. There's one for destruction, there's one for dragons. Down here as well, there's also one for the undead and one for the elements. So if you remember from the Tan episode where we said, destruction with like demons and dragons, elementals, and undead critters, basically this is going to be the theme that's going to go on here as well. These four portals are basically much like in Tans, where we basically will have basically if you look at the description, it's an invocation portal perpetually summoning beings through it. What's going to happen with these invocation portals is that enemies are basically going to pop out of them and attack my character while I'm basically trying to deal with the elite bosses here. And I'll note that both these guys are elite bosses, both Aranel and Alander. So we basically want to think about how we're going to deal with these portals and what else we might just do with these guys as these portals are basically summoning guys through them. I want to obviously try and shut down these portals, and there's a way of doing it. I'm not sure if it actually tells you with this here. Basically, you vanquish the master of your prize. Now you must venture. Blah blah. We're basically in the final quest, so to speak. With this campaign here. Once we basically get through this fight here, we'll basically be into what is the end game victory screen. Anyhow, so that's basically what these portals are basically going to be about. Let's actually talk about these two elite bosses I'm going to be fighting. One here is Alander. He's a Shaloran elf, and I'll note that this guy's probably the more dangerous of these two elite bosses. Alander is not really so dangerous for this fact that he's, how can I put this? He's basically dangerous for a simple reason that he has very hard-hitting spells, and at the same time, he has a whole lot of regeneration abilities. So I just want to look at this very quickly. You notice that he's basically an Archmage with some Norfil type talents if you were looking at the class talents. And on top of that, he'll also have access to several healing abilities. So looking here, you'll see Arcane Reconstruction, which basically lets him heal himself for a little bit of health. He's going to have access to Infusion Healing here, which will basically also do the same thing, but cure a poison effect. He'll have access to, let's see here, Regeneration. This is a natural regeneration ability he basically has. He'll basically use this to regenerate life over 10 turns. Luckily for us, it's only 29 life for 10 turns, so it's a really regeneration effect, but it's there. He'll have a couple of other runes here, invisibility and shielding. These I'll note that these infusions and runes might be a little bit different from when you might play this game and he might have random runes and inscription and all that. He'll always have an invisibility rune, and I believe he'll always have a shielding one. I'm not so sure about the other stuff though. But anyhow, the main thing about Alander here is that he's basically an offensive caster, and he's going to do a whole lot of damage with his spells. At the same time, he's going to be able to restore his health if you attack him. So the thing about him is that he'll be able to last very well compared to, say, Aranel here, and at the same time, he'll also be able to do a lot of damage. Now, Aranel over here is a human female, and she's basically a little bit different than how Alander sort of works. Alander here is a straight-up spellcaster. He basically tries to stay away from you and pelt you with dangerous spells. Aranel's a little bit different. Aranel is a reaver, and you'll basically see that she has corrupted strength here. She has several abilities like bone grab and such. Basically, how she operates, she tries to get into melee with you and then basically crush you, so to speak. And she's actually very good at it, actually. She actually has like a few projects like Irresistible Sun here. She has, Lucky Day and Eye of the Tiger. Basically, she's going to be able to rapidly use her talents a lot in the fight. And she's also going to be able to basically, really hound you and like weaken you. And the thing about her is that Aranel, the thing about Aranel is that she has plenty of these curses and she has like other stuff in here like hexes, like the Imperfect Hex here. How she basically is going to work, she's going to basically weaken you, and if you get weakened enough, this guy's just going to cakewalk for you. Basically, he's just going to rape you to shit in pieces, so to speak. So, with Aranel, she's basically going to be like a supportive spellcaster, basically gets in melee and basically wrecks you. Alander's going to stay away and basically pelt you with dangerous spells. That'll do more damage if she actually does successfully, wreck you down with like curses and hexes and such. So, one more thing I guess I should go about. That's basically her talents. I just want to note one thing before we basically just engage in battle. If you look at this guy's defenses, you're going to note that he's got no... well, let's just put it this way. He's got 50% confusion immunity, he's got 100% blind immunity, and he's got 50% stun freeze immunity. So, Alander's actually very resistant to like effects, and you'll notice that he has like, fairly good resistances other than this physical, which is kind of low, but... Basically, he's going to be able to resist a little bit of effects, but he's only got so much, so I actually have a very good chance of basically stunning and like dazing and doing everything else to Alander. And that'll be like basically my main way of like basically trying to wreck this guy. Over here on Aranel, note that unlike with Aranel, she actually has full stun freeze immunity, so I can't stun Aranel. I don't have any ability to sort of break through that stun freeze immunity. She also has blind immunity, and she also has confusion at 50%, and she also has very decent, as you can see, even more decent than Alander saves. So she's basically going to be very resistant to like being detrimentally affected, much like with other bosses have done, where say I try cripple them or I try and stun them or daze them. Alander is going to be a little bit more easy to do that with, and that'll come into play here in a little bit when I basically fight him. Also note that if you look at this guy, let's see from here, he's got like hit points 1400 there. Underneath his hit points, it says resist. Note that this guy has 40% all resistance. So I just want to note this. He basically has massive resistance to damage. And basically, when you're attacking this guy, at least 3/5 of your damage is only going to make it through to him. And that assumes it's not Blight, Mind, or Arcane. If basically, whenever I attack this guy, he's going to basically resist some of that damage, just outright. And he also has, a little bit of armor, a little bit of armor harness and defense. So he's going to be pretty capable of like shrugging off damage. Now Aranel is kind of the same way. She also has like some decent like resist. Notice it's a little bit higher. So she's a little bit more buff compared to Alander and like shrugging off damage. She also has much higher armor and much higher defense and armor harness. So basically, she'll basically be like a tank. And be very resistant to start being damaged. So what I'm basically getting at now, I basically say Alander here is like the more dangerous of the two, and he basically it's a combination of the fact that he can do a lot of damage and he's very restorative of his powers. Aranel is probably a little bit weaker in the fact that she's not going to be as like regenerative and like capable of killing you outright by herself. But you want to note that her like abilities can make Alander more dangerous as well. So you want to take that sort of into account when you're basically attacking these guys here. I suppose there's one thing I should probably talk about before we actually attack them, and that's Aaron. So I want to note that Aaron is usually someone that'll come in with you in this final fight. Aaron is basically your ally, and I guess it's one of the neat things about this fight. You're basically going 2-on-2 instead of like 1-on-1 usually with bosses. Aaron is actually very powerful, but not in a way that you may like her being powerful. She's actually, if you look at her, how can I say this? She's actually very weak offensively. Aaron is kind of like your, what can I say about it? She's basically just going to absorb damage for you. She's very good at it, and she's going to survive for a long time, but she's going to be really unable to sort of help you kill the enemy. Now, it's not to say that she's not going to be useful for absorbing damage, because notice that both of these guys start out targeting High Sun Paladin Aaron. They're going to actually go after Aaron before they come after me, which is going to help me a lot in like taking them out. There's also one more thing I should probably note, by the way, that I also forgot. Note that this guy here, he has global speed 159. This is actually caused by his essence of speed. If you recall from my character, I have essence of speed, and that's boosting up my character's like global speed by 45%. Right now, this guy is going to be pretty much as fast as me, even though I'm a fast character myself. So I've got like very high global speed, a little bit more movement speed. This combination of stuff is going to help me out a lot, but I mean, it's one of those things. I really don't know why my attack speeds drop down that much, but whatever. Whatever. It's not a big deal. Alright, so let's just get into this fight. So, normally I would probably suggest that you go after Aranel first. Now, this might sound odd when I say like Alander is more dangerous and say go after the weaker one, but the thing about Aranel is that she actually has one real bad weakness going for her. Even though she's a lot more defensive than Alander in like armor and like the bone shield going around her and other stuff, she doesn't have any healing abilities. The thing about Aranel is that she can't really heal herself up if she takes any damage. She does have abilities like Drain, and she has like other stuff in here as well, I believe, that can possibly help her with like her resources. But she doesn't actually have any abilities to sort of restore her hit points. She can protect them like shielding, for example, and invisibility. But when she actually starts taking damage, she can't restore it. So eventually she'll whittle down like the full completely just die as a result of the fact that it'll just whittle her HP down until she just kills over. Alander is going to be not like that because of the fact that he has like regenerative properties. But there's one thing that I sort of have going for me that is really worth mentioning is that I'm a Shadow Blade. My Shadow Blade, as you already know, does a lot of damage. A lot of damage. A lot of damage. We basically have a high damage on our main hand, a high damage on our offhand, and this is adding up, to be like, insane amounts of damage for a character, player character. It's one of the advantages that the rogue classes sort of have. They generally start out weak, but as soon as they get to toward the end, they get really, really strong. So we're actually going to go after Alander, and I'm only going to note this. I'm only going after Alander because my rogue's able to outdamage his healing properties. If Alander was like, not going to be as regenerative, it might be a different story, but it's just not for a simple reason that he basically won't be able to outdo my damage when I basically come at him. Alright, so how we're going to do this is basically, I'm going to start off by hitting Raff of the Woods. We're going to basically pop off Warrior's Ring of Speed here, drop on a Hero's Infusion, and I'm going to note this. I'm not actually going to use any of my other like defensive abilities just yet. We're basically just going to go for a full offense attack here on Alander. So we're just going to Shadow Step him. So we're just going to start off the battle. Note that basically I'm doing like I just dazed him there. He basically got hit with a daze, so he's unable to move, and he's going to have a little bit reduced damage there. And he also lost 5% of his health, so we're going to do a lot of damage whenever we hit this guy. Normally, you probably shouldn't expect to hit these bosses for more than 5% of their health with most characters. My Shadow Blade can probably do it consecutively every turn, almost. Well, technically, it will be doing it every turn for a simple reason that I've got Essence of Speed. That's just a single hit here. Each turn, I'm going to probably do over 1,000 damage on him, just because of how powerful my character is. Now, I'll note that I haven't really been using it, but Spider of Poison is actually very beneficial to use on these bosses. Neither of these guys really have any resistance to poison. So, if this guy who has as you can see, I just crushed his saves, by the way, so he has reduced saves. Stuff that I can do to him, I'm just going to hit him with Spider Poison. And I noticed that he did Illuminate there. That's an AoE, that's why he hit me there, so that wasn't intentional that he's going after me. You'll still see that both these guys are still going after High Sun Paladin Aaron, but he did that in there and all that. Alright, next we're going to basically note that my daze effect went off as soon as he basically got hit there. So Spider Poison took it off, but we're just going to try and cripple him. This will try and slow him down a little bit. So now he's crippled, and the point for crippling him is that he's going to basically be reduced in his speed. If you look at him, this is where speed comes into like a major thing here. I basically crippled his ability to attack me or in Aaron. He'll still be really fast due to his global speed, but this is going to crush his speed down a lot with these abilities right here. Note that he's still going after Aaron, and note that apparently Aaron's actually going after him, so that'll be interesting. Now, if I want to use my AoEs before she gets in, I can't use my Wind Blade without hitting her, but I can use Sweep for a moment, so we're going to actually try and do Sweep here. The purpose for doing Sweep was to make him bleed, so he takes a little bit of bleeding damage before Aaron jumps into melee with us. And we're actually going to hit him with Dirty Fighting here. This will hopefully stun him. which it did. So now he's stunned for 5 turns. So note that because he's stunned, he's going to be, have his damage reduced by 60%. It's going to randomly put stuff on cooldown. And more importantly, if you look at his, what else about him? More or less, he's also going to be able to move around. I'll note that Alander is actually really fleety. He likes to move around if he can. I did put Spider Poison on him, but it doesn't mean that he's unable to move. He'll probably use like Phase Door and stuff like that to try and get away from us, but if he has a chance, he'll also move around. And you know that because he's got Essence of Speed, he moves around very, very quickly. So he's going to be, something to really worry about. But anyhow, we're just basically going to try and do what we can to wreck this guy. I want to watch my health here, because I'm not putting on my defenses until these guys sort of target me. These guys will, by the way, eventually target you if you hit them long enough, but they haven't got to that point yet. We're just going to flurry him now, yes. So we did flurry there. Note that he's down to 65% of his health, so we're basically ripping through Alander here very easily, but it doesn't mean that he's like incapable of still being a threat. I think we're just going to naturally attack him for a few turns here. So boom, boom, boom. Note that he's down to 50% of his health now. This is probably a good time to maybe activate our healing infusion, perhaps. Actually, we'll activate Time Shield. We'll put that on for now. Alright, so note that my debuffs are eventually slowly withering down, but here's like the power of like debuffs sort of in action. This guy's a perfect example where you can make use of the Shadow Blade's like dazes and stuns to basically crush him. And we're just going to keep on doing it as much as possible. So, boom. And I think he actually stopped bleeding there. So right now he's actually no longer pinned with poison or anything like that. But what we're going to do, I'm actually going to charge him with Rush. And I actually want him with Dual Strike. And then we're going to, run up to him with Shadow Step, I guess. So note that he's he's trying to be very mobile. He's still going after High Pound and Aaron, luckily for me, but it doesn't mean that he might, eventually switch over to take me out. Now I've actually lost my speed buff here, so I'm actually going to put that back on. I'm going to activate this now because it's a good time to put it on. And note that this is where invisibility, seeing invisibly, is actually kind of useful. He's actually got invisible, so I can't actually see him. Not that it's a really big issue, but I know where he is. But he's right there. Note that Erin's using her Irresistible Sun. So this is what Irresistible Sun sort of does. She actually also has it, as you can see. Basically, what's going to happen, she'll be able to damage people around her. I don't know if this includes you. I don't think it does, but she's basically going to draw these guys closer to her every single turn to try and, move and all that. This is actually a good time to sweep again, so we'll do that. Now, note that I'm basically quickly running down Alander here very, very fast. I'm also running down my stamina. So I want to be very careful sort of doing this, but hopefully we can take him out before it becomes a really big issue with taking these two out. You know what? We're actually going to use Windblade. The thing about it is that right now Aaron's in an Ice Block. The Ice Block will actually absorb some of the damage that Windblade will do. And also possibly disarm both of these guys. Neither of these guys have disarm immunity, so note that basically hit her too, so this is basically show it off. When I basically hit him, or Aaron, I'm basically going to hit her with the thing here. And look at that, we actually disarmed one of the bosses. So Aranel actually got disarmed there. She's actually the main one I want to worry about. At the same time, we also, as you can see, we destroyed that ice block a little bit with the physical damage. But we also did a lot of damage to Aaron as well. But we also did a lot of damage to both Aranel and Alander at the same time as well. So that's great. So that's done. He's still targeting Aaron there, but whatever, we can just, melt into him. Boom. Note that I put a shielding around him, so he's trying to defend himself as much as possible before I rip him to pieces. I'm amazed that neither of these guys have gone after me yet. Usually they come after you a little bit more, but I guess they just haven't, I've basically been, going a little bit too fast on this guy before he switched over to come after me. Some of these guys might be, coming after me in a bit, but they haven't yet. Boom. I might actually kill him in a moment here. Oh, there we go. So note that both of these guys, or at least Alander here, he finally switched over to target me. It's a little bit too late for him. He's already dead, but we're just going to kill him. Alright, now, finally we hit level 50. I would have liked to hit level 50 before coming into the fight, but there is actually a benefit to leveling 250 in the fight, as you can see. All our resources actually got restored with that, so now I'm actually at full, stamina again, which is very nice. But more importantly, as you can see, here's level 50. So you have achieved level 50. Congratulations. This level is special. It grants you 10 more stat points, 3 more class talent points, and 3 more generic talent points. Now go Bully 4 and Triumph. So usually, you'll want to probably be level 50 before you come into the boss fight. It's not a bad thing to come into the boss fight before being level 50. As you can see, there is some benefit to it strategically. But at the same time, if I came into the fight beforehand with the full damage buff, I would have basically had this up to like 5/5, which means I could have had the cooldown to 25 there. I could have also had a lot more class points over here as well. So if I look over here at if you remember Shadow Feed, I was talking about, I could boost this up. This will increase my attack speed. So now I'll have a faster attack speed when attacking these guys. And I could also probably boost this up. If I boost this up, it'll boost up my blur sight, I think. So that's 31. If I boost that up, 32. So I could put a point in there to get extra, point of defense. So I think at this point we'll bump up the Shadow Comet for more damage from that. I could also get more stats for willpower. So boom, 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 boom. There goes willpower all the way up there. That's going to be a massive maximum stamina and maximum stamina or mana boost. So now my character is going to be a little bit more durable in a fight for those reasons. Anyhow, now this is very odd because of the fact that I actually killed Alander before I did anything else. With most characters, you probably won't be able to kill Alander this easily. I also note that the reason I basically killed Alander here is because I have very high damage output, and he had very he didn't have this sort of defense to sort of outdo my damage. He could have possibly been able to do it, but he just didn't have that luxury. So we basically ripped through him. I think what we're going to do now, we're actually just going to go after Aranel now and just basically try and finish this fight off. Normally, I'd be dealing with these Invocation Portals much sooner than this, but we may not actually be able to finish the fight without even dealing with them. And there's actually a benefit to doing that, so I actually want to sort of try and see if I can pull it off. So we're just going to go after Aranel here and try and kill her. So we can, do that. So I'll note that I use Dirty Fighting here. The reason is for a free extra attack. More than anything else. So boom. So we're just going to try and rip through her as fast as possible. Note that I'm doing very little damage on her. She's actually very, as you can see, resistant to my damage. It doesn't mean I can't take her out, but I mean it'll take a little while before I beat her down. So boom, boom. Slowly beating her down. I'll note that, by the way, Dual Strike, it's still going to be a damaging talent even though it's got no stunning ability on it. So maybe I'll drop it down and see if I can do that. So boom, boom. Now I want to be very careful with my stamina here, but at the same time, I actually do want to possibly get over here. This gives me the benefit of being able to, say, do this. So I can do that and, hit her that way and make her bleed too. Doing this would probably be a good idea to do. So, boom. I realized that she wasn't frozen there, but and actually disarm Aaron. But Aaron was not, as I said, she's not an offensive powerhouse. I'm the offensive powerhouse. And eventually, as I damage Aranel, she's going to also switch over to attack me as well. So that'll happen eventually. Let's actually put on a reflection shield. I think this will actually reflect some damage back at her. So we'll do that. I'm also going to put down Nature's Pride on her right now. The reason for doing this is so that she basically, takes some extra damage, hopefully, from us. These guys, they're not really going to do much, but we'll see what they can do. Oh, Aranel used the Infusion Sun there, so actually blinded us a little bit. Not to worry though. Let's take that off. Note, by the way, that whenever I hit her, I'm actually getting this sort of acid splash effect. So this is actually going to make me take a little bit of acid damage each turn. It's basically caused by me attacking her, but it's just one of the sort of things that immediately have to sort of deal with when attacking Aranel. She's basically, a very big nuisance to sort of attack, even though she is a lot easier to attack. So boom, boom, boom. We're just going to keep attacking her manually here. Okay, good. I actually want to get my cripple going on her so I can slow her down. And note that she shrugged off the cripple. So this is actually a result of her having really high defenses. So we're actually going to just hit her with flurry, I guess. So slowly she's going down. Note that she's actually switched to attack one of these Trents. One of these Trents actually grabbed her attention with one of his abilities. I think I've already pointed this out, but Trents have the ability to sort of like taunt them. When they taunt, they basically take whatever target the AI had and changes it to them. So when did it happen, perhaps? But yeah, note they're not really doing much damage. They're just basically trying to distract her a little bit there. And let's keep beating on her, so boom. Note that she's got Counter-Strike on her right now. Counter-Strike's actually a result of, Aaron blocking. Is actually helping me a lot with attacking her. So I'm actually getting some good damage whenever she actually attacks Aaron, because it gets these Counter-Strikes on her, which helps out a lot. Alright, you know what? We're actually going to save her stamina as much as possible here. We're going to not use like these current talents I have access to. And we're basically just going to beat her off with regular attacks for now. Now, note that she's basically finally targeting me. So this will usually happen, this is what usually happens. You'll be like, at least 50 or so % of their health. Hey, I'm being attacked by this guy heavily. I better go deal with them. So this is basically what happens. She's now dealing with me. She's no longer going after Aaron, which is great. I mean, Aaron's okay, but we prefer that it doesn't, kill off Aaron. We want Aaron as, like, a backup in case we sort of have trouble. So here's where you can basically see how dangerous she can be. This curse of vulnerabilities she applied, Alander is still around. This will reduce my resistances. So as a result, I actually would have been able to take more damage from attacks, caused by Alander. Luckily, because of the fact that Alander's dead, it's not hurting me too much. But as you can see, I've got like massive negatives all over the place now. So negative light resistance, negative physical. She's gonna do a lot more damage to me, but it's not really a big deal, so we're not gonna worry about it. Let's make her bleed. So we'll do that, and note that I'm basically now getting hit here for a lot of damage. She can actually hurt you quite a bit. It's one of the benefits of her having a lucky day. She also put a deep wound on me, which will actually hurt as well. So this is one of the things where it's going to sort of hurt me a little bit. We'll put that on, and we're actually going to use Wind Blade now, I guess. And I would actually want to use Whirlwind, but I'll actually attack Aaron at the same time. So, preferably, let's just go with that to kill that. So note that, yeah, she's going after me now. She's also actually put on Juggernaut, so Juggernaut's actually going to give her a little bit more physical damage reduction, so she'll actually take less damage when I attack her now with physical damage attacks. If I use Shadow Step, it'll hurt her, but again, we're going to maybe save that for Flurry, because I'll do more damage with Flurry. I think. Pretty sure I will. Ghoulies, ghoulish sleep. Hello, ghoul. So, if I look down here, there's the undead invocation portal down there. You can also see elements over there, too. Yep, Drake hits with an attack there. Looks like she tried to use Stone Touch on me there, I think. I should actually keep in mind. Note that some of these hexes that she's applying to me, this actually makes me feed back some of the damage I do on her. So I'm a high damage character, so it actually hurts me whenever I hit her now. Some of this other stuff is also kind of a nuisance. This is reducing my healing ability. That's burning me a little bit. This is basically why Aranel can wreck you. She can basically apply several debuff effects to you constantly. And it does hurt. Okay, we're just going to keep beating on her. So there's Flurry going off. Sadly, it wasn't that great of an attack, but whatever. You know what? Let's actually do Whirlwind. Ow! Okay, so what happened there? How did she do so much damage? Or did I just do a lot of damage to myself there? So basically, I hit everyone there, and that Aranel hit me is what happened there. Something hit me for a whole lot of damage. So I used Whirlwind. I did critical attacks on everyone. Okay, so that's basically what happened there. I basically damaged myself through martyrdom. I basically did damage both on both like Aaron and myself with martyrdom there. I'll note that I think that when you attack her, you're gonna hurt yourself quite a bit. She has good melee retaliation as a result of being a Sun Paladin. So that sort of happened there. We're actually gonna activate all these accounts now. Heal up a little bit there. We also use Spider Poison on her, though it's not really gonna help. I don't think too much here. Demons are joining the party now. Hello, demon. We're just gonna beat on her now a little bit more. Okay, good. Notice that she's got counter strike. This is actually a good time to use dual strike. I should be using my talents, to try and take advantage of the dual strike as much as possible. Whenever Aaron decides to put it on top of her. Note that she's gone back after Aaron here a little bit, which is nice. Also note that she's now weaker than Aaron. She's lost more HP. This is a result of me just beating on her really hard. Boom, boom, boom. I'll note that I think there's actually an achievement if you actually manage to kill her without closing these invocation portals. I'm actually trying to see if that's actually going to happen first. It's actually the reason I'm attacking her and not going after these portals. I'll note that, it's probably more tactical to remove these portals so you don't have to worry about these ads. But it's not really a big issue, it seems, for me. So just keep beating on her naturally. Okay, we're just going to finish her off with Windblade. And normal attack. Alright, so Tactical Master. Fought 2 sorcerers without closing an invocation portal. So that's actually an achievement. So if you close these, portals, you actually, you're shutting her off from this achievement. I'll note that, though, it's probably a better idea, too. Just because it makes the fight easier if, the other ads are actually hurting you. But that's cool. We got that done. And that's just awesome. So without closing any invocation portals, I defeat these 2. You won't usually pull this off, I don't think, but I'll note that it's just probably something I pull off just because I have high damage. Alright, the 2 sorcerers lie dead before you. Their bodies vanish into some immaterial mist. You have won the game. Both Maj'Eyal and Far East are safe from the dark schemes of the sorcerers and their god. Aaron, are you well? I cannot believe we succeeded. I was prepared to die and yet I live. I might have underestimated you. You did more than we could have hoped for. We both did. Alright, so here's a bit of lore for, finishing the game. A winner. Well done, you have won the Tales of Maj'Eyal Age of Ascendancy campaign. The sorcerers are dead. The orc pride lies in ruins, thanks to your efforts. You have prevented the portal to the void from opening and thus stopped the creator from bringing about the end of the world. The orc presence in the Far East has greatly been diminished by the loss of their leaders and destruction of the sorcerers. The free people of Sunwell will be able to prosper and thrive on this land. Maj'Eyal will once more know peace. Most of its inhabitants will never know, even we're on the verge of destruction, but then, this is what being a true hero means, to do the right thing even when no one knows about it. You may continue playing and enjoy the rest of the world. While you were in the Far East, the Grand Corruptor was busy in Maj'Eyal. With the fall of Ziggurar, he was able to attack and take control of Elvia, Shalorian capital city. His plans, however, will not stop there. After your victory, you come back to Lost Hope and reunite with Melinda, who after many years remains free of the amount of corruption. Note that this is sort of a bug. Melinda's actually sort of dead, but because of the fact I sort of saved, quote-unquote saved Melinda, we actually get this sort of text here. But basically, usually Melinda's supposed to live happily ever after with you. The sun still shines. You get an achievement if Aaron lives the battle. Evil denied. 1 tome by preventing the void portal from opening. Closing the void portal. The void portal is closed, preventing untold horrors and assaulting Yal. And note that after you basically win, basically what happens is that everyone else disappears. All the other monsters. Now, I'll note that these guys, they have some special items on them as well. So we got this stuff here. Note that the Pearl of Life and Death, this is actually a very special item that Aranel is carrying. This gem that she's actually carrying, the Pearl of Life and Death, this is the reason that she has stun freeze immunity at 100%. She actually was using this thing here. It actually gives you 100% stun immunity if you carry it. So I'm already got 100% stun freeze immunity with this little thing right here. Also note that over here's the staff. So Wiccan Staff of Absorption is basically the staff that was being carried around. We're just going to, I'll explore a little bit. Note that, by the way, these walls sort of open up after you beat the sorcerers. So you can say hi to Aaron, blah, blah. So there's Aaron. Now, I'll note that if you actually want to try and close these portals, what you can do, just go up to him, depending on what the portal is, like this one right here is the Portal of the Dragons. If you actually want to try and close these, what you do is you just go up to them with your, your orbs from the orc leaders. You use these. That will actually close it when you do it. Like you use it on top. It won't close it because I've already beaten them, the sorcerers. But that would be how you basically stop them from, basically. These portals are basically, they purposely some stuff through them until you close them with those orbs. Now, at this point, I've won the campaign. I can stop playing, or I can keep playing if I really want to. This far pillar will lead us back to the Far East, and this one over here will lead us back to Maj'Eyal. Basically, this will drop you near the Iron Throne. So basically, you go back to the Reknor Far Portal with this one right here. You know what? Let's just try and kill Aaron because I'm an ass. I want to kill her. Do it. Kill the Aaron. F. I'm gonna blind every single time I attack her, I think. And apparently I can't attack her unless I actually use attacks. Ah, well, let's screw around. We don't really care about Aaron there. Alright, let's just get out of here. So, I'll note that at this point I could keep playing if I really want to, but there's not a whole lot to really do. I could go back to like the Ruin of Death in Vor's Armory or do some other stuff, but there's really only one thing I think I should really do for you. This is like, some of like the endgame lore that you may not have like, seen, or you may not actually think about unless I actually show you it. So we're actually going to go to it just before we basically mosey on off. I don't care about items now. Let's get rid of them all. Alright, we're back in our Chateau Fortress. Now, I want to note that most of these like pictures here, you can actually read them now. Or you actually have to put on a staff. Can I not put this back on? Alright. I'll note that if you're a magic caster, you can make use of this. It just requires you have 40 magic stats. When you put on a staff, you actually read these portals. So now we can actually read these portals to see what's going on. So you see a mural about a dark and tortured world, large god-like features with powerful auras, fate shutter, the earth is torn between her feet. And then you see like the text and basically tells you about the story of like the chateau, the gods, and all that in the world. So first mural painting, we'll go up here. There's the second one. Third mural. Fourth mural. Oops, that's the sixth one. Let's actually go up here to the fifth one then. So note this one over here. Now we'll go up to the sixth one. So they basically stand together. They have powerful items. They use their powerful items. And the last one you can't read regardless of where you have the staff or not. Anyhow, that's basically just a little bit of lore for you guys to see before we basically head on out. I'll note that this is probably a good time to sort of note. Probably the best thing you can probably do if like you really want to sort of like keep playing the game. There is some like hidden bits, and you can like you can look at my other videos if you sort of want to like see those hidden bits. But probably something that you can probably look into doing. Nope, don't want to go there. Was it up here? Forget where it was. Was it down here? Wasn't over there. I'll just tell you what I'm basically thinking about doing. Basically in the dungeon, the ruined dungeon, there basically is just like this like here it is. If you're caught in a ruined dungeon, we basically have the option of basically going in here, and there's like this like infinite dungeon that's being talked about. So if I want to, I could go up to the end here. So you have accomplished great deeds, but if you enter the infinite dungeon here, there'll be no way to go back. You will go on until you meet your glorious death. So if you want, you can go into the infinite dungeon if you want, and that'll basically send you into like the infinite dungeon. Anyhow, at this point, I'll say this is end for the Let's Learn series. I hope you've enjoyed and like you learned like how like to sort of play the game and accomplish great feats and all that. For now though, this will be it for the series. I'm actually going to try and continue on with like I guess some nightmare difficulty runs after this. If you want to keep watching my YouTube channel. Other than that, take care. Hope you enjoyed. See you guys in the forums or wherever else.